Louisiana Beer Reviews Gulden Draak Imperial Stout. Deep, dark brown, rich and robust ale. High fermentation. It's an ale, of course. Secondary fermentation. They put live yeast in the bottle. And it contains 4 times more malt than a lager, they say. Well, the plastic wrapping got a little torn here on this bottle. It's a clear bottle, but they wrap it. Clear glass. They wrap it. Okay, Gulden Draak Imperial Stout is a limited edition brew from the noble line of Gulden Draak beers. Golden Dragon. A beer characterized by its deep, dark color and dry, delicious bitterness. So it's one of the newer ones. Hasn't been on the market too long. I'm not sure the year it hit the market. Can't be too long because Gulden Draak itself is only from 1986. So Brewery van Steenberge. Lindenlaan. That's the street in Ertvelde, Belgium. Okay, so 11.2 ounce bottle. Alcohol 12%. Don't know the bitterness units. I was given this one time, this Gulden Draak bottle opener, but it doesn't really work that well. Right. Alright. Only reason I'm using it just because, you know, the theme. Alright, I bought this at a local store, and believe it or not, well, local 25 miles east of here, but, oh, it is a brown bottle, sorry, I said clear bottle. No, that's fizzing like American stouts never fizz, so it's a Belgian style stout. Normally this would be about $6.99 a bottle, $5.99 maybe if you get a deal, but I found this for 69 cents, true story. Won't see that happen again. It's red, reddish brown, with depending how the light's hitting it. All right, beige head. Let's go with the aroma. It's a thin head though. Dark roasted barley malt. You get that dark bread crust. Almost like a spiced brown bread. Oh yeah. So it looks kind of thin bodied though, like a porter. Let's go with the taste. Cheers. You get the dark roasted malt and the brown bread crust, but the body is thin, and just the overall feeling, the mouthfeel with the bubbliness, the prickly bubbliness, it's coming across more like a quad, a Belgian quad, like you might get with Chimay Red Cap, Chimay Blue Cap, the Grand Reserve, but they're saying it's a stout, so. Okay. And I think that's why Rapier has it a 91 in the style, 94 in the style, 94 in the style. But, I mean 94 overall, I'm getting it backward. 94 overall, okay, Rapier, 94 overall, but in the style of 45. So they're saying it's a bad stout, because I think their gripe is not really coming across as a stout, except for that chocolatey note. But overall, a beer of any sort, that is a most excellent beer because it tastes so good, and it does. Beer Advocate is giving it 91. They love it. Untapped's giving it 75, so they're very pleased with it. Yeah, prickly carbonation. Sweetness scale. 2 out of 5 sugar cubes. It's a pretty dry beer. These Belgian ales tend to be very dry. Bitterness seems low. Two out of 5 hop cones. Now, it might be rated at, you know, I might be able to look at, overlooked it or something as 45, right? So it might be 45 IBUs technically, technically, but the way you experience it, it's very low because probably the malt sweetness makes it to where you don't really pick up the bitterness. So in a real world application, the bitterness is quite low on this beer. So I don't see anybody drinking this thinking, oh, it's bitter. It's bitter. I can't see that. I could see somebody like, say, a Miller Lite drinker tasting it and thinking, but it was unusual because you're not used to tasting a chocolate note and the heavy malt 4 times the amount as a lager in a beer, like, you know, in a beer, and they might think it's too heavy, or because it is heavy body compared to Miller Lite, and they might find it's too strong. It's just too overwhelmingly strong and bold. But then on the other hand, they might love it. You know, they might find all those things about it that it's unusual in that way, but they might love it. I don't know. I started trying out craft beers in 1996. I started my beer drinking project in February '96. Trying Miller High Life first beer I bought. Then I was trying all the brands, Schlitz, Pabst Blue Ribbon, Budweiser, Coors Banquet, but I was immediately also checking out imports like Almatza. I think I was in '97. I got that from Lebanon, Hart from Ireland, and all sorts of craft beers. The old Simpatico from Minnesota, which I don't think is around anymore. Trying Pete's Wicked Ale, which I think is gone, that brown ale. Trying some from Louisiana, like Rick and Jack's Scotch-style ale. So I was doing that from the start. And Abita's Turbo Dog, you see. So I was trying those type of beers from the get-go. So there was no real adjustment period. It was just a short one. You know, when I first tried Turbo Dog, I was appalled by it, but also liking it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, wow. And then, this is terrible. It's so strong. But that was just the initial reaction. And I kept sipping it over there at Bruning's restaurant. And I was like, oh, yeah, I get into these kind of beers. I could definitely get into these kind of beers. So they kind of reminded me of dessert wines in the sense that they were so strong and non-standard. Okay, so I'm going to go 94 out of 100 on this one. 9.4 out of 10. A most excellent product. It's not outstanding or world-class or anything like that, but it is a most excellent stout, and I did get it for a world-class price, 69 cents for one bottle. That store only charges per bottle size. Doesn't matter what the product is, so if it's an out-of-date Pabst Blue Ribbon or out-of-date Bohemia Cerveza Bohemia, you're going to pay 69 cents, but it might only be worth 6.9 cents. You know, those out-of-date American lagers, they taste terrible in my opinion. I don't want them at all. So there's no kind of deal at all. But for this, it's 12% Belgian import. It's the same bottle size, actually a little smaller, 11.2 versus 12, but it's still 69 cents, right? And I bought the standard Gulden Draak for the same price. Now, if it's a pint, they're going to charge 79 cents, regardless of what it is. If it's Miller High Life pint, be out of date, not worth buying, even for free. I don't even want it for free. But then it might be Nola Stout, which may be a month out of date, but it's over 6% stout. You know, it's going to be fine. A year out of date or 6 months, yeah, you probably want to avoid it. And if it's a 19.2 ounce can or higher, you know, the talls, 24. If it's a 24 ounce can of Keystone Light, you don't want to get it. It's going to be out of date and it's going to be junk. Right? But if it's Arrogant Bastard and it's a month or 2 or 3 out of date, so what? You know, it's like, that's not going to affect that beer. So I do stop by that place sometimes, and normally, nah, it's not worth it. I don't find anything worthwhile. But sometimes, like with this, it is worth it. And it's on a major highway in Louisiana, so that's no issue there. So, Laissez les bon temps relais, a 9.4 out of 10, and I'm going to end this review by saying y'all go to Belgium and take a brewery tour.